to be the introducer, and I was delighted to do that. So, Sister Shivani, welcome again. One cannot believe between the time that we met at the IVCA conclave and now, the world can go completely so topsy-turvy. It, if anything, puts in front of us the fact that Prakriti can really change dramatically and nothing is in our control. Truly nothing is in our control. The world has shifted so dramatically. And so I think to hear your advice, your guidance on how we can look inside to find equanimity, to find samatvam in this very dark moment and come out much stronger than ever before. I look forward to listening to you. Along with you, of course, is my dear friend, Gaurav Dalmia, who's also there in the IVCA conclave, Gaurav, if you remember. We had a chat there. And he epitomizes what I believe is the representation of most of our industry. And in our industry, I always think of when Lord Krishna told us, Shreyan Swadharmo Viguna Paradharma Svanishtistat, that if we do what is our natural duty, our natural vasanas, we are bound to find happiness, even if we don't do them as well as others, rather than do something else. This industry is a selection of people who have naturally found, and Gaurav is a wonderful example where he's come from a traditional family business and has become one of the most talented investors in India because that was his natural calling. And today in the audience, we are going to find 100 people like Gaurav who have found their natural calling. So I think we will be able to take and learnings from you, Mr. Shivanaji, in this conversation and hopefully put it to even greater practice and come out stronger at the end of this. So with these few words, I would like to hand this over to Gaurav to have a conversation with you. And thank you again, Shivanaji, for doing this.
So Shivani, good evening again. Let me welcome you as well. For our audience, those who have heard her before will know that her wisdom and insight is extraordinary. At a personal level, I can really relate to it. I had the good fortune of hearing her at the IBCA meet last time, and I have had the good fortune of having this one-on-one type of session with her a few years ago at Rashtrapati Bhavan, which I found most stimulating. So the format today is we would request Sister Shivani to speak to us a little bit about her views, and then I will do a fireside chat, and then there are some audience questions which some have already come, some will be coming, and I will pose the audience questions as well. Sister Shivani, over to you, please.
Om Shanti and good evening. Like Gopalji very beautifully shared, February, everything seemed fine when we all met, and yet after March, everything changed. And so beautifully put that nothing seems to be in our control. But when we use this line, nothing seems to be in our control, because it's very true that nothing seems to be in our control, but nothing is in our control in the outside world. In the outside world, nothing is in our control. What we have seen in the last 4 to 5 months since the end of March, there were two crises that hit most of us. One was the epidemic, which hit everybody, but another was lockdown. For a lot of people, lockdown also became an issue which they were not prepared for. It was a situation which was not in our control. 24/7, a family in a small flat. Just this morning, somebody said, my house in the morning looks like a call center. Everybody sitting with their laptops and my kids and with their headphones. He said, it literally looks like a call center early in the morning. So again, a situation. So many of us are waiting to get back to work. So a lot of things not in our control. But what we saw in the last few months all over the world, but I'll talk only for our country right now, there's been a huge rise in mental health issues in the last few months. There's been a huge rise in depression and anxiety attack. In fact, in the first month itself, that means by the end of April, the Indian Psychiatric Association said that was 20% rise in 1 month. After that, they haven't given their figures, but there's been a rise in anxiety attacks and depression, conflicts in relationship. There's been huge number of calls for domestic violence and a lot of other things happening in the families. So this is something to think about. Yes, COVID is a crisis, but it's a physical health crisis. And most of us were in the house, safe, secure, protected. We had learned how to take care of ourselves. when we were at home, safe, secure, protected, why is there this huge rise in mental health issues of the country? Because this crisis outside, we have people who are taking care of us. This crisis will get resolved. It is only a question of a few months, whether it happens in November or it happens by January or March, that we find our solutions and we know how to handle it. But this is a visible crisis. Everybody knows the symptom. Everybody knows who they have to go to if they experience a symptom. But there has been this invisible crisis, and that invisible crisis is here, the state of our mind. Even now, many don't even know that they are going through an anxiety symptom. Many don't even know that they need to talk to a therapist. So there are three health issues. One is a physical health issue, we're all aware of, a mental health issue, which most of us are aware of, some of us are not aware of that. But there comes in between the emotional health issue. So if we look at ourselves and we'll say, physically, I'm fine, mentally also I'm fine, I don't have depression, I don't have any of those mental health issues. So I'm fine on both these levels. Now I need to check my emotional health. Can I call myself emotionally fit? Because for the last decade, 2 decades, we've worked very hard on our physical fitness. So in terms of our diet, our organic food, our gyms, our everything, yoga, pranayam, everything was being done for physical fitness. There came a situation and most of us realized we were not emotionally in our perfect health. If we were emotionally fit, then the crisis would have been outside and we could be calm inside. There can be chaos outside and we can be stable inside, because this inside world is completely in our control. Everything topsy-turvy outside, but everything stable inside. That is emotional fitness. The inside world is not dependent on the outside world. The inside world is our creation. Before COVID also, we were living a life where we believed, it's not the truth, but we believed that whatever we are feeling here is because of situations and people's behavior. And our vocabulary would be, I'm upset because of, I'm stressed because of, I'm irritated because of, I'm happy because of, I'm peaceful because of. So everything in our inside world, we thought it was dependent on the outside world. This is a life of emotional dependence. And most of us were living a life of emotional dependence. And there came a global crisis and everything changed. And then as a society, we said, fear and anxiety is normal. We labeled it as normal because we thought, how can we be calm and peaceful when everything is going wrong outside? That's the need of the hour now, not just to cross this crisis, but for a lot more that's going to come, the way we are going to work, the way business is going to happen, the way situations may turn out to be next year or the years after that. One learning from COVID, let's make emotional health a priority. Let's make emotional health a priority. Let's not say my emotions are dependent on situations and people, because if the situations go topsy-turvy, then my mind also goes topsy-turvy. And then mental health issues are on the rise. India, before COVID, #1 country in the world in mental health issues of depression. #1. We're not a country. We're not a country who should be #1 in depression in the world. So rich in our culture, in our spiritual principles, in our community setups. We're so rich. How can we be #1 in depression? Because we're not taking care of our emotional health. So first priority, let's make emotional fitness important, not optional. Not I will take care of my mind when I get time. Before COVID, we used to tell people, learn meditation, do something for yourself. तो पता है क्या कहते थे? जी मरने की भी फुर्सत नहीं है. आप कहते हो कि meditation कर लो. So this was not coming on priority. So कोई बात नहीं, तब नहीं किया. Let's start doing it now. So first equation, which we will start practicing from today. It's an equation. I am the creator of my every thought and feeling, independent of people's behavior and situations. I am the master of my life. I am the master of these sense organs. This is Swarajya. I am the ruler over myself. Together, all of you are going to make Atmanirbhar Bharat. To make Atmanirbhar Bharat, we have to first be Atmanirbhar. Atmanirbhar is coming from the word Atma. Atma is self, self-dependent. Atmanirbhar, self-dependent, which means I, the soul, I, the Atma, is not dependent on any situation, on people for how I feel. Once we start practicing this equation, it won't happen in one day, but it will soon become a way of living. Tomorrow, someone may not behave right with you, somebody may not work the right way, something may go completely wrong tomorrow. But if you just remember this equation, I choose my thoughts and feelings, and I'm going to remain calm and take charge of this situation, it will start happening and your emotional health will start building up. Otherwise, we can get irritated, even stuck in a traffic jam, and blame the traffic and the government and the roads for what we are feeling at that time. So first equation we need to practice from today to make emotional health a priority is emotional independence. Peace, stability, cooperation, calm, patience, ease, letting go, acceptance, gratitude. This is emotional health. Stress, anxiety, fear, jealousy, competition, comparison, complaining, criticism, this is emotional illness. But as a society, we called emotional illness as natural. And so everybody accepted that illness as a natural way of living. So we're going to shift from emotional illness to emotional health. And this is one health. When you create it for yourself, you're going to radiate it to your family. Your children will become emotionally stronger. You're going to radiate it to your teams, to the people you work with. The ripple effect, your vibration radiates all over the world. Sankalp se srishti banti hai. That's the spiritual law. Sankalp se srishti banti hai. Our thoughts create our world, and our world is our body, our family, our house, our work, our city, our country, and our world. Emotional immunity, unless my emotional immunity is high, I will not be able to create the perfect physical immunity for myself. So emotional fitness, this is the first priority. Second, to know what is emotional health: stability, calm, patience, ease. Busy is not health, easy is health. Relaxed, accepting, letting go, empathizing, gratitude. Competition is not health, cooperation is health. Sharing and caring is health. When it makes you feel at ease and radiates very healthy vibrations to your body. Second equation that we need to remember is Sankalp se Siddhi. Thoughts manifest. Sankalp is thought and Siddhi is manifestation, which means my thoughts create my world. Sankalp se Siddhi. We are going the other way around today. We are saying, this is the situation, so obviously I will think like this. The law is not that. The law is, as you will think, so you will radiate and so you will manifest. What happened in the last 4 months? Situation outside was not right, but our thoughts were also not right. Our thoughts were not right. We created panic, we created chaos. We talked a different vocabulary completely about the economy, about the business of the country. We didn't even realize the impact it would have on millions of minds of the country. We just started talking right from day one of the lockdown. Miracles is what is needed at this time. And miracle means when the mind does not get affected by the situation, the mind rises above the situation. And each one of you have created miracles in your life. There's no one who's not created miracles in their life. And this is the time together to create a miracle. So second equation, Sankalp se Siddhi, which means think and speak only that what you want should become your reality tomorrow. Think and speak only that what you want should be your reality tomorrow. Don't think and speak what you can see, because you will only make more of that tomorrow. Think and speak only that what you want to see your reality tomorrow. Simple example, very, very basic example. Suppose somebody has high blood pressure, the body has high blood pressure. If you keep saying, My blood pressure is very high. I have high blood pressure. I have high blood pressure. And everybody around also keeps saying, "Arey, inka to BP high hai. Inka to bahut salon se BP high hai." Somebody else says, "Doctor kehta hai, ye to high hi rahega. They have to keep taking medication forever." So everyone is creating a sankalp, a thought, high hai, high hai, high hai. वो high ही रहेगा and high हो जाएगा. Now, this is where we have to use the equation. Sankalp se siddhi. My blood pressure is normal. My body is perfect and healthy. This is an affirmation. This is a blessing that I have to give to my body. We all know the power of prayers, chanting, meditation, blessings. Even to go and give an exam in school, we used to ask our elders to pray for us, to bless us. What was the connection between them praying at home and we giving an exam in school? But their high energy words radiated to our mind, empowered us, and we performed better. This is the time to use the power of prayers, chanting, meditation, and blessings. And what are all these for? They are high vibrational words, high vibrational vocabulary in the mind and in the way we speak. Not just for 30 minutes in the morning, because we all pray, we all meditate, we chant, we create blessings, but we do it only for a few minutes in the morning. So high vibrations in the morning and then low vibrations during the day, that won't balance. The situation is big. We need very, very high vibrations to heal the world. We're asking each other, when do you think this COVID will get over? It depends a lot on us. We need to raise the vibration of the planet. We have lowered the vibration of the planet in the last 4 months by lowering our way of thinking and speaking. So the vocabulary, which we all know what is high vibrational vocabulary, we're going to speak that way throughout the day. So positive affirmations means high vibrational vocabulary. So if my blood pressure is not normal, I create an affirmation, I create a sankalp. My body is perfect and healthy. My body is perfect and healthy and will always be. My blood pressure is normal. Abhi wo normal nahi hai. It's not normal right now. But I know the equation. Sankalp se siddhi. I have to radiate a vibration of it being normal to this body. And I will keep doing it every day, every day, every day, many times in a day. And my thoughts will radiate to my body and I will create healing energy. Medical science can call it a miracle, but actually it's not a miracle. It's just using thought power. Sankalp se siddhi, sankalp se srishti. But what we are doing, जो दिख रहा है वो बोल रहे हैं, जो देखना चाहते हैं वो बोलना शुरू करना चाहिए. So just simple lifestyle habits, how we can start using this power of high vibrational thoughts and words in our day-to-day living, in every aspect of our life. How we think, how the body heals, relationships, the work, and the country and the world. First thing in the morning is very, very important. I'm not sure whether we talked about this in February, but if any of you started doing it, if not, we can start doing it tomorrow morning. First hour of the morning should not be connecting to the world. The first hour of the morning should not consume content of the world. The mind after a good sleep is like a blotting paper, clean blotting paper. Whatever you put first layer of information on a clean blotting paper, it will absorb completely. And first hour of the morning and last hour before we go to sleep is the most crucial mind for emotional health. For emotional health. Since the time we have technology, we seem to be at work first thing in the morning. We seem to be at work last thing, just before going to sleep. We will check our email. Any more email? Any more messages? Then we go to sleep. If 10 minutes you don't fall off to sleep, you open your eyes again, you again check. In 10 minutes, any more message? In any more email? So the last thought before going to sleep, the first thought on waking up is work, is work. Sunday, mind is at work. Diwali, mind is at work. When was the last hour the mind was not at work? This is a fatigued mind. This is a tired, fatigued mind. We need to take care of our mind. So 1 hour in the morning should not be connecting to the world, which means no work communication, no world news, what's happening in the world, no social media handles, and not necessary to go through all our messages also first hour in the morning. The first hour in the morning should absorb high vibrational content onto the mind. And that's why every house in the morning is sattvic in the morning. There's prayer, there's chanting, there's bhajan, there's havan. That is a high vibrational morning to energize every mind. We charge our phones, our laptops, our iPads. We have to charge our mind first thing in the morning. So first thought in the morning, let it be a gratitude thought. Let the mind shift to a high frequency of gratitude first thing in the morning. Gratitude to the higher power. Gratitude to the mind and body for being healthy. Gratitude to the people you live with, you work with. Just thoughts of gratitude for everybody. Gratitude to nature, prakriti. Prakriti, gratitude to nature, gratitude to the world. Every day we have water. We never say thank you to water. कल सुबह अगर नलके में पानी नहीं आएगा ना, so we'll have a lot to complain about. But रोज जब आता है, no thoughts of gratitude for it. When we create gratitude, we're creating a relationship of harmony even with nature. We have to have a harmony with nature. So harmony with mind and body, harmony with people, harmony with nature. First 4-5 thoughts in the morning, gratitude. If you shift your mind to gratitude first frequency in the morning, you will have less to complain about life during the day, less to complain and criticize. Why should I not complain and criticize? Because that depletes my emotional immunity system. Complaining, criticizing, anger, irritation, impatience, daily basis, created many times during the day, is depleting this battery. It's depleting this battery. It's affecting my emotional fitness, my emotional immunity. Gratitude in the morning. Second, keep 5 minutes to create your positive affirmations for the day. Powerful sankalp. You can choose what sankalp you want to create depending on what you want to manifest in your life. Simple few sankalp, which we are doing right now, especially for COVID. First, I am a powerful being. I am. The vocabulary is I am, not I should be or hope I could be, will be. I am a powerful being. Powerful being means I'm emotionally strong. I don't get affected. I don't get pulled down by situations and people. So I am a powerful being. Second, I am a peaceful being. Anger, irritation, pain, deleted. Third, I am a fearless being. Fearless being. We are surrounded by vibrations of fear today. We should not get affected by that energy of fear. So we have to be here in our minds. So I am a fearless being. Third affirmation. Fourth affirmation. My body is perfect and healthy and will always be. We have to delete this thought which says, what if this happens to me? What if this? Subconsciously also it should not come into our mind. What if this happens to me? No. So we create a blessing every day. My body is perfect and healthy and will always be. Fifth affirmation. God's power and blessings is a circle of protection around me. Please visualize this daily. Its energy, its vibrations. See a circle of white divine light around yourself. I am protected by the divine energy. No lower vibrations can enter into my high energy circle. Sixth affirmation. Protect your family with that divine energy. Don't create a thought. Tomorrow the schools will open. My children will go next month. What if this happens? What? We're not going. Taking care is one thing, but creating negative thoughts is another thing. Taking care, but don't panic, was the message from media and the government right from day one. We took care, but we panicked also. So taking care of the family, bless them with that high energy circle. Very, very important. Create that high energy circle for your work, and create a very, very positive affirmation for your work. I will not be able to create that because you have to do that according to your work, but create an affirmation of what you want to see in your professional life and say it already is. Success is certain for me. 2020-21 is going to be my best year up to now. I am going to create miracles. Start thinking, start speaking, create that energy, radiate that energy, and see it manifesting in your life. But if we keep saying 2020 तो गया, क्या साल निकला है, कुछ भी ठीक नहीं हो रहा है इस साल में, कुछ ठीक हो भी नहीं सकता इस साल के अंदर, तो जो ठीक हो भी रहा था ना वो भी बिगड़ जाएगा, because our thoughts influence our life and our world. So few affirmations for the morning, for yourself, for your body, for your family, for your work, for your work. Financially also, whatever it is, you can keep a figure that this is my figure for this year. And last, create one affirmation for the planet, that God's power and blessings is a healing energy around the planet. My world is beautiful. Everything is perfect. This is a prayer for the world. So 5 minutes in the morning, create these affirmations 3-4 times and visualize them. So it's power of affirmation plus visualization. It starts happening over here. Then throughout the day, every hour, pause for a minute. This is a very powerful method. We call it traffic control of the mind, where we take a break after every minute, every 59 minutes, we take a break for 1 minute. Take a pause, check, repeat the affirmation. Why are we repeating the thought? Because we want that thought to become my normal way of thinking. Within a week, 10 days, if you do this regularly, within a week, 10 days, the affirmation will no more remain an affirmation. It will become your normal way of thinking and speaking. And when it becomes your normal way of thinking and speaking, it will start happening in your life. So every hour, just pause for a minute. Easiest way to do is when you have your meals or when you drink your glass of water or cup of tea or coffee. Very good to do it at that time. Our food, our water, it absorbs vibrations. Right now, the water of the city is also vibrating with fear and anxiety because it's in the air. It's in the air. Google water memory. Very, very scientifically explained how water absorbs our vibrations. And therefore, you see, we take water, we say our mantra, then we put it on our food like this. What is it we are doing? We're doing it, but sometimes we don't know what we are doing. We are energizing the water and then using the water to energize our food. Very, very important to do it right now. Make a culture at home that while eating, no phones, no television while eating. No phone, no television while eating. It's a sanskar that should be in the house. Very, very important, because as is the vibration of the food, so will be the state of mind. Jaisa ann, vaisa man. Jaisa pani, vaisi vani. So the vibrations of food and water are very important for our emotional health. So let's not have phones and TV while eating. Take that 10-second pause that we were taught as children before eating. Connect to the higher power. Say your little prayer. Say your affirmations just before eating. The food will absorb those thoughts and that will become your predominant thought again. So every time you eat, 2-3 times a day, 6 to 7 glasses of water. So it easily becomes that I would repeat my affirmation at least 8 to 10 times in a day. And then last is before going to sleep. The last hour before we sleep is very, very important. Most of us do not sleep right. We sleep enough, but we're not sleeping well. We're a very sleep deprived generation. We can fall off to sleep anytime on the flight unless we engage our mind with technology. We can just fall off here or there because we're not sleeping right. Why? Because till we go to sleep, we are still watching something or reading something or listening something, which is very stimulating for the mind. Ideally, at least 2 hours before we sleep, we should disconnect from work communication. Disconnect work phone calls, work emails, work messages. Disconnect by 8:30 to go to sleep at 10. Because we need that much time for the mind to withdraw, to slow down, and then ease down, and then go to sleep. Can't just go to sleep with a turbulent mind. After that, only the body sleeps. Mind doesn't sleep because it's hyperactive mind even while we are sleeping. Then disconnect from news of the world. The highest TRP of all news channels is early morning and late night. And these are the two times which are not good for the mind, early morning and late night. Because late night last information will affect our sleep. First information will affect our day. At least for an hour in the night, just do what is comfortable, be with your family, listen to music, do nothing, read a good book, anything that will slow down the mind, not stimulate the mind. No arguments, no problem discussion. Write out whatever has happened during the day which was not comfortable for you, which means don't carry an emotional wound with you to sleep. Write it out, bring your emotion out. Meditate for a few minutes. Meditation is no more an option. Now it will be a necessity to take care of our mind. So meditate, reflect, heal the wound, counsel your mind, and at least 10 minutes in the night and at least 20 minutes or 30 minutes in the morning. Very, very important. 20 to 30 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the night. We need to absorb pure, powerful, positive content. That's our healthy emotional diet. For emotional fitness, need to take care of our emotional diet. And emotional diet is what we watch, read, listen. Watch, read, listen. If we only take care, experiment for 10 days, just restrict to what you're watching, reading, listening from the world. Message after message, message after message, news update after update, not listening to the news only once in a day, but update after update. Watch, read, listen is emotional diet. So what I watch, read, listen is who I become. So if I watch, read, listen, stress, anxiety, fear, comparison, competition, jealousy, I become. I have to do nothing to become that. I automatically become because that's my diet. So 20 to 30 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes before going to sleep, positive content, which means content of what I want to become. Compassionate, empathy, gratitude, peaceful, happy, cooperation. I cannot just become just by wanting to become that. I have to consume that diet. That's where spirituality comes in. But you can choose anything, any video, any audio, any good book, self-transformation book, spiritual studies, scriptures, anything you like. But please consume at least 20 minutes of a healthy diet in the morning and at least 10 minutes last clear information before you go to sleep. It's like खुराक, मन के लिए खुराक, ये खाना बहुत जरूरी है. If we do not give it the right diet, if we do not teach it the right way of thinking, then my mind will always be a victim to situations and people. Situation can be not in my control, but my mind can be completely in my control. Stress is given by a simple formula. Stress is equal to pressure divided by resilience. COVID is only a pressure. Economy going down is only a pressure. It's a numerator, very big numerator, but that's not equal to stress. Stress is equal to pressure divided by resilience. Numerator not in my control. Denominator completely in my control. Let me enhance my denominator. My stress levels will start going down. My emotional health. I know our work, this is all our priority, but really the priority today is not just your emotional health, but emotional health of your family, emotional health of your children. If one in a family starts taking care, ripple effect has an impact on everyone in the family, and that's what we need. Priority of our life is sanskar and karma. Investment is deep rooted in your mind. Investment, investment. Add one more word to it. Energy investment. Energy investment. Every thought you create, every word you speak, every act, every behavior is an energy investment. It's a sanskar, it's a karma. This investment, very, very important, short term. Today, I, the soul, leave the body, everything here. Today, I have everything, nothing can be used. But this investment, eternal, eternal. keeps you happy, safe and secure even now, and most important, ripples and empowers everyone around you. So investment word is very important, but along with that, add that word energy investment, karma investment, sanskar investment. That's what will make us always happy, healthy, and in harmony with people and with the world. Thank you so much. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Sister Shivani, for a fascinating 30 minutes of how we can manage ourselves. I love the idea of numerator and denominator. The denominator is totally in our control, and that's what we should focus on. One question before I start into Q&A. My fear is we are going to run over, and could we impose some extra time on you if we do run over?
I am perfectly fine with time.
Fantastic.
I'm not busy. I don't use the word busy. Don't use the word busy. No.
So I will start with a few questions, and then I will take a few questions from our audience. So, being in the investment world, all of us here are fans of Warren Buffett. So my first two questions I will ask, what we've learned from Warren Buffett and your comments on that. So Warren Buffett has always says that business or life is a game of many innings. And you should look at your total performance over all the innings. Yet the world forces us to look at each inning and perform in each inning. How do you think we can balance the short term and the long term?
Most important is when we start practicing emotional independence, the first benefit you will experience will be less influenced by what the world believes is right. We are living our life by what the world is programming us to believe. Of course, who created that is also us. So society is created by us. The belief systems of society are created by us. And then we get influenced by those belief systems and we stop thinking about what is right for me. It's only about what the world believes is right. The word successful, safalta, the Hindi word is very important. Safalta. Safalta coming from the Hindi word safal. Now safal means आपने अपना जीवन कितना सफल किया, which means you used your life, you used your time, you used your energy in the worthwhile way. It is safal. It is giving. Somewhere we changed the definition and we said success means how much I am achieving. This is a huge shift. Very, very big shift. Is success about being a giver in life or is success about being an achiever in life? Achievement is important, no denying that, but achievement is only one part of life. Work is one part of life. But who would I call successful? Ask yourself, what would you call successful? Happy, healthy, beautiful relationships, and achieving at work. So achieving at work would be one part of life, but public opinion, everyone around us saying it's work, and you are successful only if you have achieved. Doesn't matter how you achieved, doesn't matter whether you are stressed or anxious, doesn't matter if your body is not healthy. How much have you achieved is only going to define your success. So important to reflect. What is the definition of success for me? Doesn't matter what it is for everybody else. It's very important to take that pause, to detach out of societal conditioning and start understanding it's like people on the road driving. If everyone's crossing the speed, if everyone's honking, and I believe this is the right way to drive, then very soon I will stop driving the right way. Sometimes on the red signal at 6 o'clock in the morning, here there is a red signal and everybody just crosses the red signal with so much dignity as if that's the best thing to do. And then if you stop at that red signal, they will stare at you and they will like, what's wrong with you? Why are you stopping at a red signal? So that's the kind of times we are living through, that sometimes doing right is you're going to get those stares from everybody around you as if you're doing the wrong thing. Just do what you feel is right. Focus on the karma and the sanskar. That is success. And anyone who takes care here will always achieve in the outside world, but they will all achieve to the best of their capacity, living with your values and principles and prioritizing your sanskars and karma. But for that, we have to come out of this game of comparison and competition. If I keep comparing my achievements with others, then I'm always in a race. And if I'm always in a race, then somewhere stress and anxiety becomes normal. So a very important belief system is life is not a competition. In fact, there is no competition. We're all on our journey. We can go on getting better and better and better and performing better and better to our capacity, in reference to my capacity, not in reference to the capacity of other people. Other people may achieve more, very good, depending on their values and principles, depending on their priorities in life. Who am I to compare myself with anyone else? I have to live my life. Like I have to drive the car my way, I have to live my life my way, which is healthy for me and my family. And healthy means emotional health, mental health, physical health. Me, my children, my family. That's where success lies for us.
Thank you. Second question is, how would you reconcile technological progress with the limits of science? You can take climate change as an example, our day-to-day lives as an example. How would you balance these two?
Technological progress, it's been actually, if we just rewind 10 to 20 years, I think most of the things that we are using today, we didn't have 20 to 30 years back. So starting from the phone. So we are not even talking history. We are probably the only last generation who's seen that era where we were without phones, without internet, without computers, nothing of this. And we have all of it today. So technology progress. But when we say technology is progress, it's actually in the outside world. So we've progressed a lot in the outside world. But I have to remember that I am the master of that technology. There are two words. One is sadhan and one is sadhana. So sadhan is the technology, those objects that we have. And sadhana is here. But if that technology overpowers my mind, then we really cannot call it progress. Then it's progress only in the outer world. Inner world will not be progress. And that is happening today. Technology, media, social media, content has started overpowering our mind. We're not, our hands start going like that to the phone again after 5 minutes. Let me see. Become a master, keep it away. And say, I will not hold it for the next 1 hour. Let's see how long my mind listens to me. Now, even if it doesn't, I'll do it again. I do it again. It is an object for me to use, but I am the master of this object. Only then there will be progress outside and progress inside. We don't want only progress outside and the opposite inside. 30 years back, no phones, no computers, no techno, no internet, no communication, but yet at the same time, hardly any depression. In fact, when I was in school, we didn't even have the word stress. Stress was only that formula in physics, pressure divided by resilience. We didn't go around saying, I am stressed, you're stressed. So what happened? Life became so comfortable now for us. But why stress, anxiety, depression? Because nobody taught us to use the technology the right way. They just created technology and gave it to us. Use it. It was like a toy that every child got. So we were all those little children with all our new toys that we got. And then we were so busy with our toys that taking care of our mind, our body, our family took second priority. Our toys become very important in our life. So then there was progress on the outside. But now we want progress outside and inside. So sadhan, lekin pehle sadhana, which means willpower. Willpower. Use that object. Don't allow the object to control you. It's this inner world which is going to create the outer world. Even climate change, it's the emotions which influence the environment. It's not just factories which pollute the water and the air. It's not just what we're doing in terms of industry. It is our thoughts, our vibrations which pollute water and air. With every mind creating stress, the water of the city, the country, and the world will vibrate with stress. You need to have technology which can show you the vibrations of water. So that's progress. Progress outside, but also progress inside.
Thank you. We are seeing increasing polarization in society. How do you think we can engage better with the world around us, even with people we might disagree with ideologically or tactically?
We might even disagree with our spouse at home. We might even disagree with our children at home. So disagree will always happen because we're two different souls. Atma has been on a long journey, and on the long journey, different sanskars. And that's why it's very important to remember that people whom we live with or work with, they are not just roles and relationships. They are soul on a journey. And that's why check yourself and your children. Two children, same parents, same house, same upbringing, but two very different set of sanskars because they are soul on a journey. Identical twins, but thought process very, very different, souls on a journey. So what we need to understand is each one is different. They will have different sanskars, but we started labeling them as wrong. We said, ye galat hai, ye galat hai. When we use the word wrong for somebody, it's disrespectful. Their sanskar is different from my sanskar. It's a perspective. It's a perspective. Now, we may say they are wrong, but from their sanskar, from their perspective, what they are feeling is very right for them because it's their sanskar. It's their filter through which they are seeing the world. So first of all, let's shift from using the word wrong for anybody to using the word different. That they or me are different. Wrong or right nahi. They and me are different. So then our opinions can be different, but our foundations will be very strong of respect and acceptance. Respect and acceptance of different sanskars, different sanskriti, different culture, different ways of working, different beliefs of right and wrong. We are different. So we have to call each other different, not wrong, not radiate disrespect to the other person. Then we may be best in our words and behavior, but our relationships will stand on very weak foundation when we radiate the word wrong for somebody. It's a rejection. And when we reject people, we get only rejection in return. You reject somebody, you get only rejection in return, even if it's happening only in the thoughts. You accept somebody, and accept means I understand this is your perspective. Though I don't agree with it, I might not agree with it, but I understand you. This will make our relationships very strong, whether at home or at work.
So Shivani, when I was in university, I read a great book. It was called Soft Hearts, Hard Heads. It was by a Princeton economist called Alan Blinder, but we can use this concept in all aspects of our life. So how do you think we should use both our heads and our hearts?
Actually, when we say head and when we say heart, we're actually referring to our logical way of thinking and our emotional way of thinking. Though we all know that the heart doesn't do any of the thinking. The heart does only the pumping in the blood. The head also, it's not the brain who does the thinking. It's the mind which is doing the thinking. And mind is the soul which is doing the thinking. So we create the thoughts and then we analyze our thoughts. We choose which thought we want to bring into action. And then we send that message to the brain and it comes out in our action. Everyone can create different types of thoughts. Somebody can be very logical. Somebody can be very emotional. Most important is each time we create a thought, sorry, each time we create a thought, just check, is this thought, is this intention, is this vibration going to energize me? If it energizes me, it energizes people around me. It energizes the environment. Is this intention an energizer or is this intention a depleter? Depleter. This is one area of life where we have to start looking. Like every investment you make, you must be checking, right? Is this an energizer or is it a depleter? Which means, is my investment the right way? Similarly, every thought I create. Some people say, oh, you're too emotional. That's why you took the wrong decision. Oh, you were too logical. You don't care for people. You're only just thinking from your head. Use your heart, which means be emotional. Most important is be compassionate. You can be very logical, but be compassionate, be accepting in people, understanding people, and that will only happen when you're taking care that every thought you are creating is an energizing thought. It's not a judgmental, critical thought. It's not a selfish thought. It is not a thought which is only thinking about good for the self, not for the others. The more we are like this, we are only wanting, 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 the more we are depleting. Actually, we have to be like this, a giver. Look at everything in nature. Everything in nature is a giver. Everything in nature is a giver, is a giver. And human being is also a giver. We are the Sanskriti of Devi Devtas, Data. Who do we worship? The plant Tulsi. Why? Because Tulsi is a giver. Cow is a giver. Surya is a giver. So anything that is a giver is worshipped, which means it's revered because it's a giver. Human being is also a giver. It's a giver. That is why Devi Devta. Devi Devta means dono haath se aisa. Now what is this? Radiating compassion, radiating blessings, radiating good wishes. Somewhere, some belief system from where we learned, and we thought we only have to want, 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 want. So it's that one thought process that we need to change. And when we do that, our left brain, right brain, which means our logical thinking and our emotional thinking, both will be active. Meditation helps to balance both our thinking, the logical thinking and our emotional thinking. But let's shift from only wanting, wanting, wanting to be a giver in life. The more we give, the more we give, the more we will have. That's a spiritual law. The more we give, the more we will have.
We've heard and we discussed a lot about simplicity. But simplicity is hard to achieve because it requires nuanced thinking, it requires perspective, it requires self-discipline. How can we achieve simplicity?
Two kinds of simplicity. One is simplicity in the way of thinking, जिसको हम कहते हैं सरल स्वभाव. कॉम्प्लिकेटेड नहीं सोचते लोगों को हम कहते हैं इतना कॉम्प्लिकेट मत करो बात को, सिंपल रखो बात को, which means don't think and entangle so much in your thoughts. Be very easy in your way of thinking. So first we need to create simplicity here. Once we create simplicity here, simplicity in the outside world will be an automatic manifestation of our way of thinking. When the soul, which means our emotional health, this is a simple equation. When this battery inside will be energized, you will not need from life, you will not need to buy more and more and more to be happy. You will not need to. Your life will not be dependent on public opinion. So what you will buy, what you will achieve will be what you like for yourself, for your family, and what you need, not to show to the world and to get approval and endorsement from the world. So things became complicated only because of that, because we want like, what will people say about what I buy, about what I achieve, about what, and then came social media. Then our public approval parameters increased. Now it was no more about just friends, relatives, colleagues. Now anybody's allowed to come and comment on my life and what I buy and what I achieve. So we are moving away from simplicity. So the more we're looking for it from outside, the more this will get depleted. The more this will get depleted, the more I will want from outside. So it's like an addiction. The dose will only keep on increasing. I will want more and more and more. Just for 3 months, if someone practices that lifestyle, simple lifestyle that we talked about today, that emotionally energize yourself on a daily basis, you will experience happiness, contentment as your nature. Then you will buy products only to use them, not to feel happiness, not to get respect from people, but use them, buy them only for your physical comfort. Automatically, we will have simplicity in life, but that will have to begin with simplicity in our way of thinking. And that will be a big gift to the planet.
So Shivani, my last question, and after that we'll move to the audience questions. Is organized religion redundant? Will philosophy replace it, and how?
Religion, the Hindi word is dharma. So dharma means duty. So what is my dharma? My means I the soul. Atma ka dharma. Because I the soul. So Atma ka religion. Atma ka dharma kya hai? Peace, purity, love, acceptance, power, happiness. Sato Guni Atma. Sato Guni Atma means 7 qualities of the soul. This is the Atma ka Dharam, which means our religion, the religion of the soul, is to create love, peace, happiness, and power, create it, radiate it to the world in our every thought, word, and behavior, which means my every thought, word, and behavior, that is my karam. This is my karam, this is my dharam. Now my karam has to be based on my dharam, which means my every thought, word, and behavior should be based on my religion, based on my dharam of peace, power, happiness, and love. What we did today, we made dharam 30 minutes in the morning. So my prayers, my chanting, which was all very important, but those 30 minutes had to be translated to the remaining 23 hours of the day. So we said, this is my dharam. And in that dharam, we did our rituals, our puja, our path, our dan, our charity, everything. But that was very time specific. What we had to do was we had to take that, learn from there, and implement it in our karam. So our dharam and karam has to be together. What we learn in spirituality is आपका हर कर्म आपके धर्म के आधार पर होना चाहिए. So if peace is my dharam, then my thought cannot be of anger. Then I have become a dharam at that time. I am not on my dharam. Love is my dharam, but I am rejecting somebody. I am jealous of somebody. At that time, I am a dharam. I am not following my dharam. So religion is here, Over a period of right from Dwapar Yuga, we have spiritual heads, religious heads who came and taught us how to think, speak, behave, and live our life. They were not creating organized religion. They were teaching us how to be. They were teaching us here. They were different teachers, but their teaching was same. So even if we study any religion, so Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Sikh, study, overall essence will all be the same. Way of doing it, practicing can be different. Implementation will be the same. So what every teacher taught was the same. What we did was we connected to the teacher. We should have connected to the teaching. If we connect to the teaching, then we will be united. If we connect only to teacher, then we got all divided. We all got divided and we said, you are this, I am this, you are, and we got all separated. Religion was meant to unite all of us. Religion was not meant for us to come to war with each other in the name of religion. Then we are completely adharam. So dharam के आधार पर हमारा हर कर्म होना चाहिए. That is practical. So every religion has taught that. It's just that we need to take that essence of the religion and bring it in our day-to-day living. It's religion of the soul, dharam of the Atma.
Let me go to audience questions now, Sister Shivani. The first question I'll ask is from Renuka Ramnath, who founded Multiples Asset Management, one of the most successful private equity investors in India. He is asking a question actually in 2 parts. First, the private equity and investment business is all about partnerships. What is said in Vedanta about partnerships and how should we understand them in business? A second question is, what are the virtues of a business leader in contrast to a spiritual leader? So partnerships and business leader versus spiritual leader.
Leader, whether you are a spiritual leader, business leader, or whether you are a parent at home. Because a parent at home is also a leader. Anybody can be a leader. Leader means the one who nurtures people. You can be a business head using spiritual principles. Business head using spiritual principles. And what are spiritual principles? Spiritual principles of acceptance, of compassion, of understanding the soul, of not just thinking about figures, targets, and what they have achieved, of understanding who they are and what they are going through. Even now, after these 4 months, when people come back to work or they have already come back to work, everybody will look the same outside, but many might not be the same inside. Many have gone through something in these 4 or 5 months. As a leader, it's like a mother of the family. The mother has to understand the minds of everybody. So everyone is a leader. And leader means who can remain calm in a crisis, who can put others before themselves. Put others before yourself, who is accepting and compassionate, and therefore nurtures the other person with your vibrations of unconditional love and acceptance. Just by being who you are empowering and nurturing people. And once you have that kind of a mindset, you have that kind of sanskar and that thought process, your whole energy field, your aura is empowerment for everyone around you, whether it's family at home, whether it's people you work with, whether it's in your partnerships tomorrow. Because partnership is also finally a soul and a soul connection. Whether it's a soul and a soul connection in a family, whether it's a soul and a soul connection at work, it's actually two different set of sanskars who are going to come together. And then if I'm emotionally energized, I'm able to understand the other person's sanskars, accept the differences and be compassionate, put others before me, and therefore then be able to nurture them and take them ahead.
The next question is from Ashish Jain from Waterbridge. How would you apply spiritual principles in a business world which is governed by emotions, very often emotions of fear and greed?
Business world is governed by emotions of fear and greed. Okay.
He's finding it in a business world that often it's determined by the emotions of fear and greed.
Yes. So now it may be for many, but we can change. Business is also actually done with the intention of giving to the world. Business is also for giving to the world. And while giving, we are gaining. But the intention of the business has to be for giving to the world. And when your intention of the business is for giving to the world, contentment will be your nature. Spiritual principle is trusteeship. मैं trustee who is काम का, मैं trustee who is घर का. And trustee means I have this for some time, and in this time I have to make the best of what I can give from this to the world. We all have beautiful sanskars. We are talented. We are skilled. We have our specialities. How are we using those to give to the world? So just one shift in equation, and that's going to be from being just wanting to being a giver. So business means udyog. Udyog is also coming with the word yog. Yog means connection or relationship. This is a relationship. It's not only about me. It's about what I'm giving to the world. So it's very, very easy. It's very easy to use spiritual principles at work. Spirituality means a way of thinking. Spirituality is not for 30 minutes in the morning. Spirituality is not in the color of dress I wear. Spirituality is not whether I stay in an ashram or whether I stay in a bungalow. Spirituality is not whether I'm surrendered in a center or whether I'm heading a business. Spirituality is in the way of thinking. That is the dharma and the karma. Spirituality is here. You can be a head of a business house and be very, very spiritual in your way of thinking and living. I could be in an ashram and be doing things which are not as per dharma. I could get angry, I could be jealous, I could be greedy, and I could be wearing this. So spirituality is here. It's nothing to do with our role and position. We could be having different roles, different positions, different responsibilities, but the dharma in our every karma. So then you will be a business head, but you will be fearless because you're a giver. If you're a giver, you're going to be fearless and contented, not greedy, contented. A giver will always be contented. क्योंकि आप जितना देंगे उतना आप भरते जाएंगे यहाँ and यहाँ भी भरते जाएंगे. So it's not that आप सिर्फ यहाँ भरते जाएंगे, आप यहाँ भी भरते जाएंगे, but intention has to be to give.
Next question is from Nishta Malhotra. How can we fight the daily anxiety which leads to low productivity?
Daily anxiety is only a sign of emotional weakness, like physical health. How we can check our physical stamina? Climb 3 flights of steps. If your knee starts spinning or you get breathless, it's a sign. No, I have to look at my health. Okay, this is a sign. I got tired climbing 3 flights of steps. I got tired just climbing 1 flight of steps. That means my physical stamina is low. So what do? Do I blame the steps? कि अरे बहुत बड़ी सीढ़ी थी? No, I start taking good diet. I start exercising daily. Within 1 month, I will be climbing the same 3 flights of steps very, very easily. Similarly, this flight of steps are the situations in life. If we are experiencing anxiety, if we get hurt easily, not just anxiety, if we get hurt easily, if we are thinking too much, overthinking, if we are worrying too much, if we are already creating apprehension about the future, all this is a sign that my stamina, my strength is low. It's low and it's fine. That's okay. Because once I know, at least I will now start working on it. So just take those few things, keep that 1 hour in the morning for yourself, begin with meditation and affirmations, keep at least 20 minutes to consume pure diet, emotional diet, restrict completely from all the content around you, which means consume only what is absolutely necessary. If we keep consuming the world information, which means news, social media handles, its content consumption is the biggest reason for what is affecting our minds. We are a generation which started with no TV, shifted to episodes which came once a week, came to episodes daily of the same serial, and we are the same generation who has all the episodes on our phone, on iPad, and we can go and watch 5 and 10 episodes together. So we shifted from no episodes to 1 episode a week to 10 episodes in one day. How is the mind supposed to take this? How is it supposed to take this? And that too, not just quantity of content, quality. What's the vocabulary? What are the vibrations of what am I consuming? They are drama. It is somebody's business. It is their business, but their business affected my emotional and mental health. Their business started affecting my children's emotional and mental health. But it's addictive. It's addictive. Last week, or I think last month, there's a very nice new documentary that has been released. I forgot the name. I forgot. It's all about how this media and social media is addictive. So anxiety is very, very largely because of that. Just do it like व्रत करते हैं ना, व्रत करते हैं कि हम ऐसा खाना नहीं खाएंगे. आप व्रत कर लीजिए कि I am not going to consume this kind of content from the world. Just do only that much for 1 month. Within a month, you are going to feel healthier. It's certain you're going to feel healthier. Overthinking is happening because of overconsumption of content.
One quick comment for our members. Some of the questions are duplicates, so I'm not going to take all the questions. I'll club some of these questions. Sister Shivani, next question for you. Asked by Nikhil, we didn't get his last name in the Q&A box. And he asked, in a world of information and clutter, how do you make the best decisions?
First and foremost, take only the information which will empower you. And if you meditate every morning, which means you create a beautiful relationship with yourself, because who's going to take the decision? I have to take the decision. Intuitive decision. The need of the hour, which is going to happen now. We need to take intuitive decision, logical decision, like we all have experienced this one situation. Our logical decisions didn't work because we didn't know this situation is going to come. So intuitive leadership, which means intuitive decision making. For intuition to be active, my mind has to be very silent. Only then I will be able to receive the answers from my subconscious mind. For my mind to be silent, I will have to lead a lifestyle where my emotional health is a priority. If I'm creating anger during the day, if I'm worrying, if I'm jealous, if I'm competing, if I'm pushing others and moving ahead, if that's all that I'm doing, then clutter is natural for me. Then clutter is natural for me. But if I am leading a life which is empowering not just for me, but beneficial also for people around me, then silence is normal for me. And if silence will be there, then your intuition will give you the answers. So decisions have to be based on intuition. We've got used to going and checking only for information for every decision. It has to be an intuitive decision. And the parameter while taking a decision should be that this has to be the right karma. It has to be the right karma, consequence of which should be beneficial for me, my family, my people, my work, my society, not short-term decision beneficial, long-term. Short-term business, long-term business. Spiritually, if you want to look at it, we are in this body for a short period of time, 50, 80, 100 years. 100 years later, 1 second, and I, the soul, will leave this body. And the only thing that will go with me is my sanskars and karma. And then baby born after a few months, and Panditji will give a Janam Patri, the horoscope. That horoscope, that Janam Patri is the opening balance sheet. But that opening balance sheet was created by my last minute in my previous body. My closing balance sheet was there. So our sanskar and karam is the only thing which is internal, which will go forward with us on this journey. So every decision should be based on that my sanskar and karam has to be of the highest quality. So focus, priority. Priority is not only what I'm going to achieve in this life. Priority is my sanskar and karam should not get compromised everywhere. So my present will be beautiful, my future will be secure. So that's the basis of taking intuitive decisions.
Thank you, sister. Next question is from Sukanya Lal. Living in the present moment is tough when the profession, which is the investment profession, requires us to be always forward looking. How do we balance both?
Being in the present moment means you're looking at the future, seeing what it is, and then taking whatever decisions you have to take. But being in the present moment means your thoughts should be, what happens is there are three aspects of time: past, present, and future. What psychologists tell us is 80% of the time we're actually living either in the past or in the future, which means past or future means the minute which has passed or the minute which has to yet come. And both are not in our control. What is in our control is the present. If my present is powerful, which means if my state of mind is powerful in the present, I will be my best version in the next minute. But if I spend this minute, my now, worrying and anxious about my next minute, then in my next minute, I will not be my best version. So that is what it means living in the now. It does not mean you're thinking only about the now. Your profession needs to think about next year, 5 years, 10 years. But your thoughts should not be of worry, anxiety, apprehensions, because finally, one situation and the future changed. So what you had planned changed. But had we been living in the now, we would be remaining calm and stable. So if my future did not turn out to be the way I thought it would turn out to be, I would be emotionally strong enough to at least face that different situation. So that's what it means living in the now, which means no anxiety, no worry about the future, and no thinking too much about the past. So that's living in the present moment.
So Shivani, next question is actually from two people, so I'll club both the questions. One is from Mala Malhotra, the other is from Mukesh Sharma. The first question is, how do you deal with office politics in larger companies? Or how do you deal with tough battles that inevitably arise in companies?
Office politics only means people with different sanskars working in different ways, which they believe is right, but they can be harmful to themselves first, and their vibrations influence people. But If we focus on our karma, this is very, very important. Spiritual principle. Truth does not need to be proved. Truth has the power to reveal itself. सत्यता को सिद्ध नहीं करना पड़ता है, सत्यता के पास प्रत्यक्ष होने की शक्ति है. Just focus. What only care we need to take is we don't get entangled into what is happening around us. That is very important, because sometimes the vibrations of what is being done, sometimes the energy of other people's karma influences us and our karma gets diluted. That's the only thing that we need to take care. That if someone's not doing things which are right, which are ethical, which are beneficial around me, I have to focus on my dharam, my karam, my sanskar. Your karam only writes your destiny. People cannot change your destiny. They can do whatever they want. They can do absolutely whatever they want, but they cannot write your destiny for you. Your destiny gets written only by your dharam, your karam, your sanskar. If we understand that much and we focus only on that, we don't entangle with what they are doing, we don't start doing what they are doing, we don't need to go and prove to the world that what they are doing is wrong, then we do not deplete our energy. We just live our life like this, focus on our journey 100%. This is law of karma. Law of karma is as certain as law of gravity. It always works. It always works. It's always working. Just focus on your karma. We are living in times where a lot of things which may not be ethically right are being called as normal. So it's around us. It's like air pollution. It's around us. We can't change that, but we can take care of our health. And if we are healthy, then that pollution in the air cannot impact us beyond that. So just focus on your sanskars and your karma, and for which energize yourself on a daily basis. Energize. Don't entangle with them. Don't reflect their energy. Don't reflect their energy to them, which means don't start doing things similar to what they are doing. Protect yourself by energizing yourself on a daily basis.
Shivani, next question is from Vikram Jain. He asks, external peace is important for internal peace. And I read this, I said, no, it should be the other way around. That was my first reaction. Can you highlight how we can achieve external peace and internal peace?
External peace means situations, people's behavior. Even why even go to the world or to the country or the city or your office? Just come in your house, and because it's better to do it just small. So in your house, let's say there are 4 people. Peace does not mean no noise. Peace is not silence. Peace is peace. Peace means when I'm thinking right in every situation. So now you have your spouse, you have parents, you have siblings, you have children, different sanskars, different thought processes. You will not be able to control them. You can advise them, discipline them, instruct them, but you can't change their sanskar till they agree to change themselves. But while being with them, if you are thinking right, feeling right, being right, you will be at peace even if they are stressed. You will be at peace even if they are stressed. And when you are at peace, you will radiate peace to them, and your vibration will become healing energy for them. And we can experiment with this. One situation in a family, 4 people get stressed. One person remains calm, remains anchored, very sorted. And that vibration of that one person starts empowering the other 3. And very soon everybody starts feeling, ha, theek hai, itni badi bhi baat nahi hai. We'll be able to manage it. So one person. So the peace radiates from inside out. Yes, ideally we would want the world to be perfect, but world is the way the world is. It's not going to be the way I want it to be. I need to be at peace. संकल्प से सृष्टि बनती है, सृष्टि से संकल्प नहीं बनते हैं. Situations don't create thoughts, thoughts create the world. So संकल्प से सृष्टि बनती है. Create the peace inside, radiate it and manifest it outside.
So Shivani, there is a comment from Shitapa Paul, and she says that you referred to The Social Dilemma perhaps.
Yes, I'm sorry, I forgot the name of that movie. Yes.
So just for the benefit of our...
Yes, absolutely. Yes, but I think everyone needs to watch that. though I haven't completed, I've just finished half, but one essence that I just picked up from that is very, very beautifully explained how our mind is getting entangled and how we are becoming dependent and how we are losing power over our own self. If a mind loses power over its own self, then taking charge of situations will become difficult. So very, very important.
So Shivani, last question. How does one practice continuous mindfulness in every breath while also doing daily activities?
Mindfulness means, like, suppose somebody is saying something which you believe is not right. So what do we say to them? We say, be mindful of what we are speaking. No, we say, no, be mindful. What are you saying? So being mindful means being aware that what are you speaking? Is this the right word? So similarly, mindfulness means being aware, is this a right thought? Is this a right thought? Our mind, our thoughts is an area where we're not looking at. Why? Because we believed that these thoughts are getting created because of situations and people. So what is there to look at this? This is not in my control. हमने सुन लिया, मन तो चंचल है, मन तो घोड़ा है, मन तो बेलगाम है, भागता ही रहता है. So everything should be in my control, but my mind is not in my control. There's only one thing in this world which is completely in our control. Only one. And that is here. Everything else, nothing in my control. Even your children are not in your control. They will do things the way they want to do it. The mind is the only thing. Inner world is the only thing which is in our control. So mindfulness means take care of your every thought. Be aware that this is the right thought for you. So when you start spending a few minutes every morning with yourself, then this is one area which you'll start looking at. It's like one corner of the house which you've not looked at for very long. Now, once you start looking at it, then you'll be very aware, अरे यहाँ गंदा आ गया है, अरे यहाँ साफ करना है. That's this area. So once you start looking at it every morning, then taking care of it during the day will become very natural. Very, very natural. You will create a thought of jealousy for somebody, and you will be able to see it immediately. I created this thought for that person, and you will be able to change it. So that's awareness, that's mindfulness.
So Shivani, on behalf of all the members of Indian Venture Capital Private Equity Association, thank you so much. We imposed on your time. We ran over.
Not at all. My pleasure.
Most insightful. So thank you once again. Gopal, over to you.
Thank you so much, Gaurav, for everything.
If I could also join in Shivani ji and Gaurav for this most enlightening session that we've had. I was thinking to myself of the old school prayer that we all learned. And, think about Ajnana Timirandasya Nanan Jana Shalakaya Chakshurun Miltam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. And I think we have listened to a guru who has helped us to open our minds. I will make sure the first 1 hour and the last 1 hour of the day, I keep it for clean, positive energy and vibrations as you have advised. I do the first morning. I will now make sure the evening also falls in line. Thank you very much and namaste.
Om Shanti.
Thank you.
Om Shanti.
Thank you, Gaurav ji. Thank you, Gopal ji.